Hey folks, Brian, we got to play RQG tonight. Yeah, interesting. I was doing some random dungeon generation kind of stuff to give some depth to under the temple complex ruins. And I was kind of planning on, level 4 being into the caverns and there being side passages with spider stuff. But the main passage getting through to, the place. And it didn't really turn out that way. I got down to I think it was the 5th level, and I just did that, opened up into it, and it was kind of interesting because got some stuff up and down different places and things coming around. And the first area I had coming down to 3 was not the way they came down, but the other way that comes down to 3, they did connect together, and it all worked out fairly well. They did run into a random encounter with some baboons, which later on in the session, which the live plays in the description, by the way, if you're into watching that kind of stuff. The party thinks that they were part of this group. Um, they had been previously. They'd come back looking for them, but couldn't find them because the baboons have all gone to the underground city to hide. Um, so, oh, a handful of very interesting, um, random type events and encounters and things. For example, they're investigating the city. I had in the back of my head that there's probably places in the city where there's knowledge, scrolls, books, that kinds of stuff that deal with the age that this place is from. Oh, which happens to be the Empire of Worm's friends. And eventually the party kind of caught on to that kind of thing because there's this, serpentine reptilian motif in a lot of places, but it's not like snakes like Ronaldo. These are not square buildings. They're different, ancient stuff, ancient stuff. Um, and through special successes on searching and my own little random mechanic, 3d6 and a d20. The 3d6 determines the difficulty level. The d20 determines the roll, and a couple of ones and twos. Yeah, they ran to essentially a library, and the party wants to research in this library for something that may have to do with what they're here for. Like I had planned on this library being here and it having information to lead them down the path. It was all random stuff. So, uh, and at one point he gets to, okay, what are you guys looking for? 90% of the stuff in this place is written in Old Wormish. Yeah, 10% Pelorian. That kind of thing, right? So, um, while one of the players can read and write some Old Wormish, nobody else can. Matter of fact, most of the people are illiterate in the party. In fact, in Glorantha, I imagine a lot of people are just illiterate. Um, so, what are you going to find? What are you looking for? Well, there's, they know there's a city, and they know that out there is this thing sticking up out of this river of lava. I think it might be like a plinth or something like that. So, trying to find something in this library that discusses that one thing out there. Yeah, let's all go to Prague, go to the public library, and let's look for something that discusses the Genoan statue downtown. How do you find that thing, right? Oh, so I'm pulling my hair out on what kind of information they could actually find here. That'd be of value. came up with Miriam got a really good role, and okay, she came across the tapestry again. These things 1,000 years old, right? The stuff down here is over 1,000 years old, and or nearly 1,000 years old. It's like probably eight something. But anyway, stuff's gonna fall apart if you touch it. Now, do I want them to be able to maybe salvage some things and get some of this knowledge and take back with them? Absolutely. I've got a whole list of different kinds of things that are they could possibly come across to be able to keep and take with them, right? But you know, they're not going to take everything, and stuff is going to fall apart. Um, but so okay, so the tapestries from before the cataclysm, right? So the city's up on the hill, and outside the city, there's this nice paved road out to another hill, and on top of the hill is a little temple of some sort, a building, a structure, right? And up above the structure is some draconic creature flying around, right? Just to give a feel for what this place was at one point in the past. What's that going to tell you? I don't know. But somebody brought up the idea of there being runes, and they could, try and use some runes to associate with things to try to find some. Okay, that makes some sense. Let's do that. And so there's some rolls made and some good ones. And so okay, they came across a room that's got earth runes and dragonite runes. So that seems to have some kind of okay, something's going on here. Let's check this out. Um, and some more. Okay, let's do research here. Okay, what are you looking for? Something deals with that hill out there. I can't even take you to the library in Idaho Falls and be able to point you to a book about Toffus Park, and it's there in town. Oh, so okay, let's make some rolls. And Miriam decides to use second sight and look around, see if there's anything with power in here. And yeah, there is. So I got to figure out what that is and how it applies and what it can actually do. Okay, so it's a library. I did this random dungeon dungeon dressing thing, and it's a chair. Okay, you got a chair in a library. What's it going to do? It's going to help you learn, right? So I've got to figure out, okay, how's this going to do it? And I've got an idea of how I want this to apply, but okay, this thing has power. It's alive. It's like a spirit of knowledge kind of thing, right? Help you learn, help you focus, that kind of stuff. But how does that apply as far as like capabilities and stuff? Like, does it add to your library lore, skill rolls, or anything like that? I don't know, but I've got a mechanic on knowledge. It helps you learn things or find things or something, right? So I've got this, and it's got power, so they know that. And I was digging through my stuff on the side doing that while the party's been discussing off on their side about maybe we should cast divination and get some answers from Ronalda on what we need to do next and what we can do and find here. Of course, Ronalda, while what's happening here is underground, and so she, Earth, something going on in the Earth is not good. She knows about it. Um, but there was discussion about, well, if this is a temple, would she know about this particular thing and stuff in here? No, she won't. Not specific to this library temple thing. No. Um, and oh, previous to this, when they first came into the valley here, um, Miriam's fetch was addressed by this silverback gorilla kind of spirit that's down there saying, "Cousin, you need to get out of here. This is not safe. You need to go away. Do not come down here. Go." That kind of thing, right? And it, it was the same spirit that they ran to before. I know that. Do they know that? Yeah, maybe. Make some rolls. It sounds awful familiar. Probably is. Um, it's okay. Where'd that spirit come from? Well, it came from over towards where the the tower thing is. It's not a plinth. It's not even a hill, really. It's just a land mass sticking up out of the river of lava. So they decide to go investigate the city. Okay, so we're doing a bunch of random stuff. Okay, try some tracking, luck kind of stuff. What happens? What do you find? And they end up at this library place. Um, and when they first get there, the fetch sees a bunch of spirits here. There's like 11 of them. Some of them with power in the upper 20s. Some actually rolled pretty poorly. And there's actually a couple of really weak ones. There's one with 1 power, and there's one with 7. But there's like one, two, three that are around Miriam and the Fetch's individual powers, right? 11 to 14 ish. That area. And so the Fetch is talking with one of them, and okay, what kinds of spirits are they? Well, some are genius loci type, right? They're guardian spirits. They're local to this place, kind of thing. And others are beast spirits, right? They're dragon spirits. Not dragon spirits. They're dragon spirits, right? A carnivorous reptile spirits that happen to fly. Um, but she interacts with one of them. Got some decent reaction rolls. Oh, which reminds me. Um, if I have it handy, I do. I snagged this from Lamentations of the Flame Princess, which I used to call the Flaming Princess, because that's what I thought it was. Lamentations of the Flaming Princess. No, it's the Flame Princess. On surprise, encounter distance, and reactions. I do like this 2d6 thing. I was using 1d6, which is what Steve Jackson does with In the Labyrinth, the fancy trip stuff, which is something I use as a fallback for a lot of stuff. But somebody mentioned in something I was reading or listening to about players roll a d6, GM rolls a d6. You have them together, and you got this 2d6 reaction roll. I thought that's really cool. I want to use that. Let's do that mechanic. And so we did. Um, we also discussed at one point about getting multiple check marks because I asked my players after the last session, okay, you know, what what are your character's long-term goals? What kind of vision do you have then? So I can try to maybe weave some of that stuff in because I hadn't been thinking about it initially. It's just, hey, you and me, let's investigate this world together and have an enjoyable time. Um, but I can see, giving the players some of the stuff that they want. Right? I have no problem with that necessarily. And of course, they all want to be rune lords. Okay, how can I get their charisma up? That kind of stuff. That kind of thing happening. Because that's the real blocker there. Or the 90 percentile in a skill. And so that was the other thing. It takes forever to level up. We've been playing this campaign for 3 years now. Well, one of my players is an original player, but none of the characters are original characters, right? Some of them have been playing for game time a year-ish, right? Are you really going to increase that much in a year? No, you're not. But it is a game, and people want to see their character increase in capabilities. So one of the things we discussed is multiple checkpoints, multiple check marks for skill stuff. So obviously, the first time you're successful, you get check mark, but you can get successive check marks when you do a critical success from then on. So you can get multiple check marks you can roll out with at the end of the gaming session. Will that throw things out of balance? I have no idea. But we're going to experiment with it. Give it a try, see how it goes. That was something I was using in my RQ3 game. Um, so in the library, there's this magical chair. And I'm trying to figure out how do I pull this stuff together. And they're talking about doing divination and finding stuff out. Irvana casts the sacred space thing. I forgot what it's called. Sacred, yeah, whatever it's called. And then Insight is going to cast 2 points of divination. So you get two questions. They were talking about all kinds of different things. What's the magic? What's the shiny axe that'll help us kill this thing? What's the one book in this library that can help us kill this thing or stop it from doing its bad thing? And stuff is way out there, right? And so obviously, what am I going to do with that kind of a question? But then they start talking about getting room points back. And well, there's three things you need to get rune points back, right? You need to be success. You need to have a sacred place, right? Shrine, site, temple. Um, you need to have a holy day, and you need to make a worship roll. And part of me was thinking that for it's not like an initiate or a lay member can just do their own worship service, right? You have a priest who does the worship service for you, and you participate in it. Can initiates run their own worship service or not? I mean, they obviously can't do it for other people. And do you need to do? Do you need a priest to do a worship service for other people to worship? Part of me thinks, yeah, you do. Another part of me is thinking, no, you can worship on your own kind of thing, but it's kind of wibbly wobbly, timey wimey yummy. So I'm not sure, but you know, they're trying to do it. It doesn't really say that you have to have a priest. It's just that if you are a priest, you get a power gain roll out of it instead of just replenishing rune points. So that's going on in the back of my head, and that's where we ended the session with the divination roll. I made the percentile roll. Uh, Irvana's power times 5. Is it successful or not? They don't know. Ask the question, and I'll give you an answer, and we'll start the next session with that answer. ooh, ooh, interesting session. Happy gaming.